Welcome to Agents of Nothing, an episode-by-episode recap and analysis from the perspectives of a veteran and a new recruit. And now, a quick word from our sponsors.
Good morning, Agents of Nothing, and welcome to our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast. We are your commanding officers. I'm Mariah.
And I'm Caroline.
And today we are going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 6. I actually don't have a whole lot to say about this episode because it's just so good and I love it so much. So honestly, I didn't take a whole lot of notes. So this episode's going to be mostly you, Caroline. Godspeed.
That's fine. It was a really good episode. I enjoyed it a lot. It took me like 4 hours to watch this episode because I kept having to pause and like scream. So let's jump into it. So the characters that we meet in this episode are Adam Cross. He is the scoutmaster of a Boy Scout troop. He's a volunteer firefighter, and he has an electric personality. Frank Whaley, he's a farmer. He's also a volunteer firefighter, and he is positively buzzing. Tony Diaz is also a volunteer firefighter.
Wow, a lot of
He
those.
really likes cleaning. Yeah, for real. And, he truly lights up a room. I'm so sorry. And then we also meet Agent Blake, who I can only describe as a dick. So, that's it. So, we open with Pennsylvania under me. There's still beautiful things. Taylor Swift coming in hot.
No way, dude. I also made a Taylor Swift reference in my notes. Like, towards the end of the episode, our brains are broken in the same way.
For real. Yeah, I mean, you have to.
How could we not?
So we open in Wrigley, Pennsylvania, where a Boy Scout troop is sitting around a campfire, and an adult Haley Joel Osment is telling a ghost story about the crying man. Their scoutmaster, Adam Cross, he joins in. He's trying to, spook the younger boys. And then he starts hearing this mysterious humming noise. And so he goes off into the woods to investigate. Sorry.
Wow. Great comedic timing, Chip.
Chip, lay down! As soon as he leaves, the mug next to Haley Joel Osment starts floating, and then the Scoutmaster screams in the distance. And I felt like I was in the first 5 minutes of a Supernatural episode. So the boys, they all run back to the truck to hide, and then a bolt of lightning hits them. But they're fine. So Haley Joel calls out in his cute little lisp for Mr. Croft, and he tells the boys to come and search the woods with him. And the smartest scout of the bunch is like, is he nuts? That was my favorite. That made me laugh so much. So the boys go and search the woods, and they come to a clearing to find Mr. Cross. He's floating, and he's, covered in this visible electric current.
Dude, imagine how fucked up all the kids in the MCU must be.
For real.
I mean, not to minimize the trauma of going through a pandemic at a young age, but if we think that kids nowadays are fucked up and traumatized, imagine living in the situations that happen in the MCU. Imagine going on a fucking Boy Scout camping trip and your Boy Scout leader dies. Not only does he die on the trip, you see his body floating in the air.
Crazy.
God, I would never recover.
Listen, I was in Girl Scouts, and let me just tell you, I don't know what the Boy Scouts camping trips are actually like, but ours were not like that.
My Girl Scout troop didn't even go on any camping trips. We just met up in the community center, and sometimes we would embroider things, and sometimes we would learn little dances. It was a very lame Girl Scout troop.
Yeah.
I think I would have liked Girl Scouts if it had been all the Girl Scout troops I saw on TV, but yeah. I guess that's what happens in underfunded small town Girl Scout troops.
Apparently so. So then we immediately cut to a shot of Coulson's knees, and my note here, I just went, ooh, look at them knees. Simmons is observing Coulson's vitals while he runs on a treadmill. And we learn that Coulson doesn't sweat. Actually, he glistens.
Such a dad joke.
For real. He's doing his annual physical early because his physical therapist / lover is worried about him. I mean, he does leave quite an impression, doesn't he? Simmons tells him that he's in great shape for a man of his age, and Coulson sounds exactly like my dad when he says, a man of my age? That's something you say to an old person. And Simmons sounds exactly like me when she goes, is it? So then we jump over to Ward. He's trying out another night gun version from Fzzt, and I'm just gonna apologize in advance because I had to write out this entire scene because I was laughing so much.
Please go ahead.
So fucking Ward is like, sorry Fzzt, it's close, but it's just not right. And Fzzt is like, really? Because Coulson didn't have any problems with it. That was my first scream. I had to pause there and scream. So then Ward's like, yeah, it's actually an ounce too heavy. And Skye goes, you gotta be kidding me, an ounce? And I would have added in you gotta be fucking kidding me. Ward's like, yeah, it's the difference between success and failure. If you're on a cliff and there's a 15-mile-an-hour wind, and Fzzt goes, yeah, but we do have a rifle, though. I was
honestly, why would you not use a rifle in that situation?
Right, why are you using a pistol? I mean, I don't know anything about guns, but come on.
You're a pretty bad spy. Like, bad decision making.
For real. So Ward walks away, and Fzzt is like, oh, I'm Agent Grant Ward. I could shoot the legs off a flea from 500 yards, as long as it's not windy. I was throwing up at that point. So Skye laughs, obviously. And then she and Fzzt are talking about how Skye has apologized to everyone on the team for lying to them, but Ward still won't forgive her. And Fzzt is like, yeah, like, who even, like, I don't even care about your ex-boyfriend. Like, I was like, wait a minute, Fzzt is flirting? What?
Attempting to, at least.
It was amazing. So then Skye is, like, comparing Ward and Miles, so my prediction about them getting together is right. It's happening. We're here. It's officially underway. I don't know if their couple name is like Scarred or Y or something. I don't know. But
why?
It's happening. That's what I would call them, because why are they together?
Why?
And Fzzt wants her to like him so bad. I was pausing between every single line of this scene because I was like, Fzzt, oh no. You poor baby. So then Simmons comes in and Fzzt tells her what Ward said about the night gun being an ounce off, and she does the same impression. They are literally the same person and they belong together. She's like, I'm Agent Grant Ward and I could rupture your spleen with my left pinky blindfolded. I loved it. I love Ward bashing. It was my favorite.
I love that Fitz's Ward impression just sounds like a raspy Southern man.
Yeah.
But I literally can't even describe Gemma's Ward impression.
For real.
What is that voice? What is that voice?
It was amazing.
Also, Fzzt trying to flirt with Skye, and then Skye not noticing and casually pointing out that he and Simmons are perfect together. And then Simmons comes in and literally proves Skye's point for her.
Literally. Oh my god.
It's so cute. I love it.
It was fantastic. So then Ward comes back in and everybody like stops what they're doing because they're like, did he hear us? And Simmons is like, oh, silly Fzzt. He left an extra round in the night gun. Why don't you try it now? And he's so fucking stupid that it works. It's like literally what my audio engineering professors told us to do when like the artist performing on stage asks for their monitor to be turned up. They're like, can you turn up the guitar on my monitor? And you go, yeah. And then you like touch the knob and you don't move it at all. And then you're like, how's that? And they're like, perfect. Literally that.
I'm sure that I have been the biggest pain in the ass to sound engineers before. Not that I've ever done anything like professionally, but I was the singer that would be like, I can't really hear myself. Can you turn my voice? Can you turn it up? And then they would do that, and I would be like, still can't hear me. Can you turn? I was like, the guitar is louder than my voice. Can you please turn it up?
And like as a performer myself, like I get both sides of it. I understand. We're just trying to avoid feedback. Anyway, so while we're all laughing at Ward, we cut over to the team. They're investigating the campground, and they discover that the electric anomaly caused the truck battery to literally blow straight through the hood of the truck and land all the way on the other side of the clearing, which is crazy.
That is crazy. Oh, something that I forgot to put in. On the, like, IMDb goofs section, you know how much I love the goofs.
Yeah.
And how I don't think they're stupid at all. They said about this scene that the hole in the roof of the truck is much too small for a battery to have come flying out of it.
Oh, no. How dare they?
And then also, in a later scene, what Simmons claims is brain cells are clearly actually blood cells. And I do get that one, because they are clearly blood cells.
I mean, there's blood on the brain.
Yeah, it could be brain blood. Take that, IMDb goofs.
So Skye is following Ward around. She's like copying his stance exactly, and she bumps into him from behind. And Ward gets mad at her because he's so touch-starved that he's turned on by a single bump. So then they find Adam Cross. He's still floating, but he is most definitely dead. Coulson asks Fzzt and Simmons what could have caused this, and they both start answering with science. And Coulson stops them, and he asks again, and they both go, So then Ward is trying to, like, be the smartest person in the room. So they're all debating over whether this is a weapon or a freak nature event or a superpowered person. And as Simmons gets closer to Adam to examine the hole in his head, she gets shocked by electric current, and he falls to the ground.
That would be a terrible thing to behold.
For real.
Listen, not to get too gross on the pod, but I do watch a lot of Ask a Mortician. I try to approach death from a purely factual and neutral perspective.
Yeah.
So considering how long he would have been there, I'm not sure what time it was when he died, but I'm sure that they wouldn't have Boy Scouts up too late. So maybe like 10 p.m., and then this is morning light, so he's been dead for a while.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the electric current stops decomposition, but he'd probably be pretty stinky, maybe a little oozy.
Disgusting.
And then he would just fall. And God, I don't want to think about the thud of a dead body hitting the ground.
Oh my God, the sound of it would squish. Ew.
You're welcome.
Moving on. So Coulson and Ward meet with Skye back in the SHIELD lab to ask her what she had been able to dig up about Cross. And she throws some complaints in there about the bracelet that she's still having to wear that's tracking everything she does and says and thinks, plus all of her bodily functions. Disgusting. That means they know when she poops, and I can't handle that.
I wouldn't want someone to know how many times I attempt to poop and then fail.
Yeah.
Does that happen to anybody else? You just, like, a few times throughout the day, you feel like you need to go, and then you go, and it doesn't happen, and then you're like, damn, maybe next time.
For me, it's just that every time I go in there, even if I don't think I have to poop, I end up pooping.
Oh, I hate when that happens, too. I'm like, I didn't plan for this.
Right. I thought this was going to be a quick trip, and now I'm in here. Anyway, so Skye...
Oh my god, this episode is already off the rails.
Anyway, so Skye lays out some facts about Cross, including that he is a volunteer firefighter. And Coulson reveals that he really likes the Strawberry Festival in Wrigley, where Cross is from. I like strawberry festivals, too.
Yeah, I would like to go.
Time. Have you been to the Ponchatoula one?
I don't think I have.
I think I went one time when I was really little, and I just have this, like, vague memory of running through, like, a row of strawberries, and then I fell, and I thought that I, like, scraped my knee really bad because my jeans were, like, really red. And then I was just that I crushed a strawberry.
I'm not sure if we ever went. I don't think we did. We didn't really travel very much for festivals because I grew up in a very small town and I was right next to the church grounds that had the local festival every year.
Oh, yeah.
So my parents were like, you get the Catfish Festival.
That's the only
We're
one.
not going to any other festivals. That's the one you get.
The only
one
one.
a year.
So also in Skye's, like, debrief, although I have not seen this, given the big old context clues, she references The Big Lebowski, and unfortunately I had the same reaction as Ward, and I didn't like that at all, because he clearly hasn't seen it.
I also haven't seen The Big Lebowski.
So Ward is, like, super rude at Skye. He makes another dig at her indiscretion while he tells her to keep looking.
Whatever.
Then we cut over to May real quick. She's interrogating Haley Joel Osment using silence and cookies. So then we go back over to the lab, and Fitz is not happy about having a dead body in his lab. Simmons is like, oh, he's just afraid. And Fitz is like, the only thing I'm afraid of is having putrid decaying flesh corrupting my pristine workspace. Which, like, I get that.
I just love them because I feel like in so many ways they literally are me and my boyfriend.
Yeah.
In this situation, I'd like to think that I'd be Simmons, but in actuality, I don't think that
You would be Fitz.
I don't think that I could actually dissect a person as neutral as I am about death.
Yeah. So Fitz and Simmons, they start fighting over the last time they had something dead in their lab, which was apparently a dead cat. And apparently Simmons left his liver next to Fitz's lunch.
Their bickering during this episode is so cute. They're a little old married couple.
I love them.
I think that's how you know that you are, like, close to a person, is when you can bicker like that and you have the understanding that you love each other to pieces.
Yeah. So they are interrupted by another electrostatic event that shows up on their satellite. So May, Coulson, and Ward jump in the car, and while they're on the road, the energy is, like, cutting out. So they're like, we gotta get there now. So they go faster. And they get there, and it's, like, a big red barn. And the men are debating how they're gonna get inside because, like, the door is stuck or whatever. So they're like, should we ram the door with the truck? And then May just, like, drop kicks it open. Obviously. So inside there is another dead man floating in the middle of the barn. And he had apparently barricaded himself inside with, he has a shotgun with him and everything. So clearly he was hiding from something before he died. He has the same burnt hole in his forehead that Cross did. So Skye finds out who he is. It's Frank Whalen. And he and Adam Cross volunteered at the same fire station. So it turns out they were both first responders for the alien invasion in New York. And so this commonality between the victims brings them to determine that we are dealing with a murder, allegedly. So then we see a man that we haven't seen before. He's polishing a helmet that must be significant to something in the MCU because it's very ugly. And they give us a close-up shot of it. And then it sizzles.
Dun, dun, dun.
So it's the cause.
It goes...
It does. It goes... So Coulson, Ward, and May hurry to the fire station that Whalen and Cross both worked at, while Fitzsimmons and Skye continue checking out the barn and the body. Coulson is very vague when the firefighters ask why they're there. He just sends Ward and May off to search the station, which I understand why he does it, but that's very weird and rude, and I would not appreciate that if I was them. So back at the lab, Simmons is going over one of the dead bodies again, and Skye says, "What are you looking for?" And Fitz answers from across the room, "A scented candle."
It's so good.
Another point where I had to stop, I had to pause and scream laughing. I rewatched that one 2-second clip 4 times. So Simmons is discovering that the wounds on the foreheads of the victims are not entry wounds like from a gun, but in fact exit wounds, meaning that something shot out from inside their heads, which is disgusting.
What a terrible way to die.
For real. So then we cut back to Coulson at the fire station. He's talking to the firefighters, and the man from the ugly helmet, Tony Diaz, comes in, and he's looking suspiciously sweaty, and he's asking for more details about how their friends died. And Coulson gets a very accusatory tone, and Tony tries to leave, citing illness. Coulson calls for Warden May not to let him leave. Back in the lab, Skye gets an alert that there's another electrostatic event reading from the fire station. So Coulson follows Tony into the other room, and Tony starts asking if anybody else can hear this humming noise. He can't even focus on what Coulson is asking him because the hum is so distracting. And then a cast iron skillet starts floating behind him, and Coulson is like, stop it, oh my god. May finds the helmet that Tony was polishing earlier and tells us that it's a Chitauri alien helmet.
Yeah, so the Chitauri helmet is a result of the events in the 2012 Avengers movie. Mm-hmm. The Chitauri were the alien soldiers fighting on behalf of Loki.
Yeah.
So the helmet in the episode was created by the AOS props master, Scott Bauer. He had looked in Marvel's archives for a prop one from when they filmed the Avengers, but it turns out the helmets in the movie were all CGI.
Stop it.
So a physical one didn't exist, which meant that he had to go to the higher-ups at Marvel Studios and request the rights to the design so he could make one himself.
Oh my god.
But they didn't have a lot of time to do that, so they could only make one, which means there is only one official Marvel-made Chitauri helmet prop in existence, and I want it.
For real?
I want it.
Oh my god.
I'm pretty sure that a while back they had an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. auction where they auctioned off props and clothing. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what it was for exactly, but if anyone has that Chitauri helmet, I will not give you money for it because I don't have it. But can you please give it to me, pretty please?
I'll buy you a Starbucks drink.
I mean, I guess I'll pay full price because I used to have a discount, but now I don't because I quit. But, I mean, as long as you don't add too many modifications.
Right.
Just, keep it simple. Maybe a chai.
Anyway, so Coulson starts aggressively asking Tony why he has the helmet. And Tony swears it was just a souvenir, but that he and the other 2 victims were cleaning it just the other day. Simmons figures out from Tony's alibi that the helmet is not, in fact, a weapon, but that it was covered in an alien virus that has infected the victims. Coulson has May and Ward clear the other firefighters out of the building so he can talk to Tony. And damn, Daddy Coulson looks so good in this scene. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
He looks so good. He's so hot when he's worried about people.
Aww.
And poor Tony is so scared because he realizes that he's going to end up like Frank and Adam. Coulson is talking to Tony about what it was like to die, and they really have a moment together. And Tony steadies himself, and he tells Coulson he should probably go now. So Coulson, May, and Ward and the firefighters all line up outside the fire station to watch their buddy blow up, I guess.
The moment Tony realizes he's about to die is so sad to me.
Yeah.
It feels so real and raw. The acting in this scene from Clark Gregg and the actor who plays Tony is incredible. Mm-hmm. It feels like such a genuine moment.
It was really beautiful.
And I want to point out that in this scene, we get Coulson admitting that he thinks he was dead for longer than he was told he was dead.
Yeah.
Which is an alarming thing to say. Why do you think that they would lie to him about that?
I think that goes into what Akilah was saying, was what happened to him? What did they do to him? I think that that's part of that storyline. I don't know what happened. I don't know why they would tell him that. I think maybe they, somebody experimented on him or something. I don't know.
Interesting. Me acting like I don't know.
So the S.H.I.E.L.D. forensics team shows up the next morning, and they're testing everyone present for electric current, and they put the infected alien helmet into a box in our team's truck to be sent to the Sandbox, which is a biohazard facility in West Africa, apparently. Coulson tells Simmons to find a cure for the alien virus since it might have infected everyone who was near to Adam, Frank, and Tony. And did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just predict COVID? Because I don't know if I'm ready for that. Also, it was weird because, like, this felt like the end of the episode, that there was still another 20 minutes left.
Yeah. I always forget about the first part of the episode because what I remember is the second part.
So then the alien head box gets put into, like, a padded room.
All of the disease and pandemic talk was so jarring in the context of the world today in 2022.
Yes.
A pandemic seemed like such a far-off idea in 2013, and I was homeschooled from 7th grade on up, so I'll be honest and say I'm not certain I knew what a pandemic was in 2013.
We had the bird flu and all those other flus and stuff during high school.
Wait, wasn't it like swine flu?
Yeah, swine flu, bird flu, all that kind of stuff. But it was like, it didn't affect us here. It felt more far off, you know?
Yeah, I remember when like swine flu was a thing, and I grew up Catholic, and when we went to church, we couldn't take the communion like from the priest's hands. We had to take it into our hands and then put it into our mouth, and we weren't allowed to like do the wine.
Oh, okay. I always took it in my hand anyway because I didn't want another person to stick something in my mouth, ever.
When I say that I grew up Catholic, I grew up very Catholic.
Yes.
So I was like, and I mean, I was really religious. So I was told that it was somehow more holy to take it from the priest's hand and like take it on your tongue. I don't know.
Well, because it was more casual to let the body of Christ touch your skin than to just put it straight into your mouth.
Yeah.
There was a lot of rules.
I was also scolded on simply walking back to my pew after communion. I had to prayerfully walk back to my pew. They could tell that I wasn't prayerfully walking back to my pew because my head was not bowed and I was walking too fast.
You were too excited to get out of there.
I was like, yeah, Mass is almost over. Mass is almost over.
We just got a couple more songs and then we're out. Then we can go to Golden Corral for breakfast. Anyway, so we cut back to the sky, and May is flying our favorite plane, obviously, and she asks Coulson if he's okay, and like, is he infected? Oh no! But never mind, she's just worried about why he decided to have his physical 3 months early. Is Coulson dying? Is the question. May calls him Phil, so you know she's serious. And she reminds him he did everything he could for Tony. There was literally, she's right, there's nothing else that he could have done in that moment besides just comfort him and be with him. Simmons is explaining to Coulson what she's discovered about the virus so far, which is that it actually spreads through electric currents, which, oh no. Not Simmons. Things are starting to float around her, and so Coulson locks her in the lab to isolate her. And I really didn't want to watch COVID content yet. I thought it was going to be like another 5 years at least. It is too soon.
But the thing is, it came out in 2013. It came out like 9 years ago.
It's crazy. It's literally too soon. It was literally too soon.
Yeah.
They made it before it even happened.
Yeah. Gemma's cuteness being excited about science-y virology stuff is immediately ruined by us finding out she's infected. Like,
yes!
She was being so cute. Why would they do this to me? Why would they do this to me specifically?
We couldn't have had one more second.
How dare you?
It's evil. It's evil.
This is my comfort character. You're not allowed. You're not allowed. Yes, exactly, Chip. I agree.
Chip, I agree with you. Come here. Sit. Oh, no, he's done. Okay. So, Fzzt doesn't want Simmons to be alone, so they're sitting back to back against the window together, and it was was so worried about her. Coulson is letting the team know that Simmons thinks she was infected when Adam's body shocked her in the woods, and given how quickly Tony blew after his symptoms started, they estimate that she has about 2 hours. And while S.H.I.E.L.D. does have lots of labs that they can work on a cure, they are still flying over the Atlantic Ocean, and they won't hit land for another at least 3 hours. So somebody better save baby Simmons.
Just break the sound barrier.
Our child.
Just go faster.
Yes.
Fly faster.
But then I guess Simmons just has to save herself, like always. Fzzt tries to bring her a device to shock the vaccine, anti-serum, but it fails on the rat that Simmons tests it on. So Fzzt is trying to lighten the mood, but Simmons is having a full-on meltdown at this point.
God, I would too.
For real.
I do not work well under pressure or with deadlines. In this case, the pressure is that she has to find a cure for herself so she doesn't die. And the deadline is that she literally is about to be dead.
Like the most stressful that anything could ever possibly be. Oh my God.
God, I have trouble sitting down to edit the podcast because I'm like, this is very important and I need to do it. And then my brain is like, but you should really not do it. It's too important. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's too important. Hi there. Editing Mariah here. It is currently Monday, the day before this episode is supposed to drop, and I have had 2 weeks to edit this episode, and I am still editing now because of this very reason. Yay! Okay, now back to your regularly scheduled programming. I love being me.
Yeah, it's fun. The ADHD and autism combo is always a good time.
Super spicy. It's not mild, it's spicy.
Yeah. So Skye finds Ward. He's hiding from everyone because he doesn't want to add to their already insurmountable pressure by giving them an audience, which is finally something that I approve of him doing.
Yeah. That
was good of him. And he says Skye can stay if she wants to, in a tone that is literally begging for her to stay. And Ward admits to being stupid, but it's also a really sweet moment of vulnerability for him. Yeah. I'm glad that they finally gave him a good moment.
Yeah, he's coming around. We've been pretty hard on him for a while, but maybe it's time we ease up on him.
Maybe. We'll see. It depends on his actions. So Coulson is zooming with Agent Blake on the ground and asking for any answers on a vaccine, and he gets nothing. So then Blake says, if you have any infected cargo, you need to dump it. Which, in the ocean? Okay. Also, Simmons in the ocean?
That's a person.
That is a person. She's not cargo. But I get it. He didn't know. But still... So then Coulson pulls the old candy wrapper, you're breaking up trick and hangs up on him, which, how do you do that on, a video call? So Simmons is still working, but things keep, floating and getting in her way, which looked annoying as fuck.
I'm too jumpy for that.
Yeah.
That would scare the crap out of me.
So she and Fzzt start bickering because it's a very tense situation. Apparently, Fzzt didn't even want to be on any field assignments when they first left the academy. They apparently didn't even pass their field assessments, which, what? So Simmons fires back about how this job has been the highlight of your pasty life. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, when did you get so sun-kissed? But then he gets really sweet and he's like, because you've been beside me this whole damn time. And she can't not be beside him. And I was so mad.
This scene had me absolutely sobbing. I cry every time I rewatch this episode. I cannot with these two. I love them so much. They belong together.
They do. They do.
I love how it starts off angry but softens when Fzzt realizes what he said.
Mm-hmm.
He's yelling, you've been beside me the whole damn time. And then he realizes, what he said and how much weight that holds.
I'm gonna cry right now. So in her despair about no one's ever survived this virus, Simmons realized that actually someone did. The alien who wore the helmet must have survived the virus. So Fzzt goes to get the helmet so they can scrape some of the like alien cells off the inside of it.
So I think this is my favorite fun fact we've ever had so far. When it's revealed that Simmons is infected, friend of the podcast and composer extraordinaire Bear McCreary felt the most important element of the sequence was that the relationship between Fzzt and Simmons, who had been treated as a single unit up until this episode, was at stake. Mm-hmm. So, genius that he is, he introduced a Fzzt-Simmons theme, starting as a handful of sparse chords that build throughout the episode, picking up energy, and then forming into a definitive theme.
It was amazing.
When the two of them discover a cure for Simmons, the beats per minute of the theme increase to reflect Fitz's excitement, followed by a montage of the pair working on the cure.
That's so cute.
Bear noted that montages are often scored with, quote, montage music, but he thought focusing on the two characters and the relationship was important for the sequence, and so he chose an even faster version of their theme instead. To which I wrote in my notes, that's going to be fun to edit.
You're welcome to yourself. And he's so cute when he's running with the helmet box. He runs through the whole plane. He runs straight into Simmons' quarantine lab, and he's like, we're gonna do what we always do. We're gonna fix this together. And I was sobbing. And so then they're like, science, science, science. They're doing the science. It's amazing.
I'm literally rocking back and forth.
Yes.
They do their best work together. But, oh my God, he says, do your best to keep your hands off me. Hello? Flirting like only a best friend can, you know?
Yes.
The kind of flirting that you don't even realize is flirting until after it comes out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Compare how bold that is with how awkward he was trying to flirt with Skye.
Yes.
Worlds apart, and he doesn't even notice. He doesn't realize.
Absolutely. It's crazy. I love that they put that juxtaposition in there. It was fantastic. So they get a new batch of the anti-serum ready, and they try it on another rat, but it doesn't work. So Simmons goes over to Coulson from behind the glass and asks him to tell her dad before he tells her mom when they inform her family of her impending doom, because she thinks that her mom would take the news better coming from her dad than from Coulson, which I could not handle that.
It's so thoughtful.
It is. And that's what she's thinking. I can't. We're gonna... Anyway. But Coulson won't let her talk like that yet, but he does agree.
Not to break up the sadness of this scene, but my toxic trait is that I love sick makeup in TV and movies.
Yes.
You know what? Like when they have their like red dark circles under their eyes. I think it looks so cool. I want to look like that all the time.
Yes. Honestly, so one time I went on I have a point, I promise. One time I went on a date with this guy who was a comedian, and he literally came up with a joke from our date because we were talking about how tired we were all the time, and literally on this date we took a nap together. It was amazing. But his joke was basically like, I'm really attractive to girls with dark circles under their eyes because I know that they're just as tired as I am. But I agree with you. I really like dark circles. So Simmons then asks for a moment alone with Fzzt. And then she hits him on the head with a fire extinguisher and opens the cargo hold ramp. Ah!
Listen, Lord knows I have my issues with Ward, but when... I think it was May, said that someone was lowering the cargo hold, he knew immediately what was happening and that Gemma was trying to jump.
Yes.
Like, I have to give that to him. That really pulled at my heartstrings.
It was amazing.
You could see the realization in his eyes. He was like, oh no. Oh no.
So Fzzt gets up and he finds that the rat is actually fine and that the anti-serum did work. But Simmons is already jumping off the plane and him screaming. I had no words for this scene. Oh my god. So he gets together another dose of the anti-serum, and then he's struggling to get a parachute on when Ward zooms past him, and he takes them both out of Fitz's hand, and he dives off the ramp. Woo! Oh my god.
It's so intense. It's so intense. These performances from Ian and Elizabeth, before we knew what amazing actors they were, like, this is really, really impressive for, like, the 6th episode of a series.
Yeah. Oh my god.
This is the episode that really got me hooked on Fitzsimmons. Truly. I was crying over these two before I even really knew them.
Him screaming Gemma, I haven't cried that hard in a long time. So Ward dives down and he catches Simmons in the air and he shocks her with the anti-serum and then he pulls his parachute. Okay, I had to pause there. I had to, like, make sure that I saw him save her, and then I paused because I needed to, like, take a breath. So then we cut back up onto the plane. Everybody's okay. And Coulson is yelling some very nice things, but in a very mean tone. He's like, that was not your call. And then he gets really sweet again. And he's like, we'd hate to lose you, Gemma. And then Coulson unbuttons his coat and sits down, which is apparently Ward and Simmons' cue to leave his office.
Coulson yelling at Gemma like only a dad who was scared to lose his daughter can yell at somebody.
Yeah. So then Ward and Simmons have a moment, and Ward is being so sweet. Simmons apologizes to him for lying about the night-night gun earlier, and Ward is like, it's fine, I already knew. And then he does their impression of him. Oh my god. He was like, I'm Agent Grant Ward, and I just jumped out of a plane without a parachute on, and I saved your life. And then Simmons critiques his impression of himself. She's like, actually, you need a little bit more nasal.
Right?
I know.
It sounded like he was laughing. That's so funny.
So then Skye comes in and he gives Simmons a hug, which, like, fucking finally! Can someone also give Fitz a hug too? Jesus Christ.
The beginning of Skye and Gemma's beautiful friendship. I'm so soft. I love them so much.
They're so sweet.
These bus kids. Ugh. What can I say? The bus kids.
I feel like so often on TV shows, I find myself just yelling at characters like, could you please give them a hug? Could somebody give them a hug? So then Mom and Dad are discussing the day's events. They circle back around to Coulson's physical, and his test results came back, and he's perfectly normal, although his iron is a little high, but don't worry, you don't have to start calling him Iron Man. And Coulson finally admits that his doctors never ordered the tests, as we all suspected. And although his test results came back fine, he doesn't feel fine. And then May tells him to take off his shirt? May! Oh my god! She looks at his scar and reminds him that he literally died. And stuff like that changes a person. She says, the point of these scars is to remind us that there's no going back. There's only moving forward. You feel different because you are different. Ugh. Oof.
Yeah.
That one hits home.
As someone who did experience a death of someone very close to me, my dad died last year. That was something that I had to come to terms with. Like, I didn't feel okay. I didn't feel like the same person. And I'm not the same person. I'm not the same person I was even 8 months ago. And I think that I've changed for the better, honestly. I mean, they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Sometimes things just suck, but sometimes you grow.
I think you're definitely in a much better place than you were before.
Yeah.
Anyway. So Fitz is trying to convince Simmons that he was gonna jump out of the plane after her. He had the parachute on and the anti-serum in hand. He's like, I swear, I was gonna do it. Simmons reminds him that while Ward saved her at the last second, Ward wasn't the one in the lab with her, giving her hope, facing this infection with her, creating the cure together. Ward jumping out of the plane wouldn't have even been helpful without Fitz finishing the cure anyway. And while Fitz still feels bad, like, I feel like that was really important for her to tell him.
Fzzt is realizing things after that kiss on the cheek.
Yes.
That's how powerful I want to be. That a kiss on the cheek could make a man realize he's in love with me.
So then we get to the post-content content. Location, the sandbox. Coulson is handing over the helmet box to Agent Blake, and Blake calls him out on the sorry excuse for hanging up on him. Blake reminds Coulson that HQ is always watching. You keep pulling stunts like this, and someone might just take that little dream team away from you. And Coulson responds, I'd like to see them try. And Blake is like, that doesn't sound like the Phil Coulson I used to know. And Coulson goes, no, I suppose it doesn't. Get used to it. Fuck!
Here comes the Taylor Swift reference I promised at the beginning of the episode. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. The old Coulson can't come to the phone right now. Why? Oh, 'cause he's dead.
Ooh, look what you made me do. I like bookending that with Taylor Swift quotes. So my overall thoughts on this episode were fuck, holy shit, and this was my favorite episode so far. What were yours?
Genuinely, this was such a good episode. I have no critiques to offer. 10 out of 10, A+. It was a big Fitzsimmons episode. I'm all about that.
It was excellent.
So good. Such incredible character building. Nah!
Incredible acting, incredible writing, amazing overall, everything amazing.
That concludes our episode on Season 1, Episode 6. If you want to keep up with us, you can follow us on TikTok at Agents of Nothing Podcast, on Twitter at Agent Nothing Pod. You can also go to anchor.fm/Agents of Nothing and send us a voice message with your thoughts. And if I ever get around to setting it up, I think you can donate to us on Anchor as well. Remains to be seen, but we would like that very much.
Yes, please.
You can also email us at agentsofnothingpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And our personal social medias, mine, Mariah, I'm on Twitter at fullswampwitch_, on TikTok at Submarine Warfare, and also on Instagram at Submarine Warfare.
And you can follow me, Caroline, on Twitter at RustyPage95, on Instagram at _RustyPage, or on TikTok at CrazyGinger995.
Next week, we'll be covering Season 1, Episode 7, The Hub, so stay tuned for that.
Okay, bye!
Bye, love you!